Years ago, I was told that it wasn't enough to simply be able to preach, but that a special skill set was required to be able to minister. I was told people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When I became a youth minister, I realized how inadequately prepared I was for dealing with the complex challenges facing youth, parents, and modern families. I cared, but I was not competent. Faulkner University has addressed that challenge by offering the Master of Arts in Family Life Ministry. This program integrates prevention-oriented strategies with the counseling skills and intervention strategies within a church setting. All courses may be completed online from the convenience of your home or workplace and at the time that is convenient to fit the schedule of the student. They offer a 50% tuition discount for members of the Church of Christ. And although this program is not designed to fulfill any requirements toward becoming a licensed counselor, it is designed to thoroughly equip the minister by providing courses including, but not limited to, counseling skills, counseling couples, families in crisis, family dynamics, human intimacy and sexuality, parent and character education, as well as church assessments. You can find out more about this program at faulkner.edu/KGST. KGST stands for Curley Graduate School of Theology. That is faulkner.edu/KGST. Contact graduate admissions at faulkner.edu with any questions you have or to explore the eligibility requirements for the tuition discount. That is graduate admissions at faulkner.edu. Faulkner University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. TKM Incorporated in Moss, Tennessee is a construction company that specializes in erosion control, seeding, and soil, hydroseeding, hydromulch, minor excavation, and silt fence. They also provide traffic control and construction signs. Their business is keeping people safe, but their passion, their mission, is they wish that all men could be saved. TKM has adopted the nickname the King's Men because as they serve you, they also serve the King. If they could provide any of their services for you, please contact them at 931-243-3958. That is 931-243-3958. Or you can contact them on the net at tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. That is tkminc2001 at twlakes.net. TKM Incorporated is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. We were training in the Von Braun Center. Now, when I say we, I mean I was hanging out with the local SWAT team, and what we decided to do was to see if they would give us access to the catwalk. And then from the catwalk, we would get out on some of the I-beams or some of the H-beams, and we would practice some rappelling. And that all went as planned, and we did some drops down from the ceiling in the South Hall, and we even did some drops down from the main arena. I had rappelled in the Civic Center before, but I had never rappelled, with the entire team. So after we'd done a couple of reps, somebody said, "Hey, that's all well and good coming from the top to the bottom. What if something happened and we had to go from the bottom to the top?" Well, I went out to the truck and I got the Wile E. Coyote slingshot, and we shot some lines over one of the H-beams and rigged basically a friction saver strap, and was going to demonstrate to the guys how to do a single rope technique known as a footlock. Now footlocking is basically, if you could picture, you got a rope hanging vertical, and let's say that you could just sit on top of a bar stool and put your right foot beside the rope, and the rope would be on the outside of your foot, not on the instep, but on the outside. And then you take your left foot under and to the outside of your foot. Your legs are now crossed. You bring your left foot around, catch the rope on your shoelaces, and then stand on your own instep, and then stand up on the rope. Depending on the type shoes or boots you have and how much friction you had in the system, you could stand up on the rope. Now, you got to hold the rope with your hand to stay vertical. But if you could repeat that process and use some kind of device, either a friction hitch or some mechanical device that would capture your progress, you could walk up the rope in what's known as foot locking. And so I demonstrated the technique, and several of the guys are super athletic and super strong. And so they did. They climbed from the floor to the ceiling of the Civic Center. Well, one of the guys is not super comfortable with heights, but he said, "Hey, I've got to try this." And I said, "Okay, you're welcome to try that." And so he got on the rope and he went up a few feet, and I said, "Hey, you're doing really good. And if you're, you don't have to prove anything else. You can come down." He goes, "No, you don't understand. Bob went to the top, and Bob is my nemesis. I've got to go all the way to the top, just like Bob did." And there's something in the culture of men, but there's this thing called a culture of excellence. And it's the idea of I've got to try to go as far as you went. Not because I'm better than you, and not because I'm challenged by you, but simply because I'm challenged to be like you. What you just did, the way you did it, the way you conduct yourself inspired me, motivated me. I'm not motivated by how you think you would compare to me. And I'm not motivated by how I would compare you to me, but rather how I compare me to you. And really that means when I look at you and I look at me, then I'm comparing me to me. I see this in this person and I like it and I admire it. And am I like that? Bravery is far more common than cowardice. The reason for this is shame. People went into danger not alone, but with friends. And you did not want to appear to be weak. So from the fear of cowardice came the most insane acts. And the successful ones were celebrated as great heroism. That is a quote that Tom Clancy uses in his book, Rainbow Six. And it is John Clark describing to his wife how men ended up doing the dangerous and foolish things that they do that is counted as heroism. And I think there's some legitimacy to that. That's the force, that idea of belonging in the company. Not a fear of cowardice, but actually a fear of shame of being a coward. That's what makes men run toward danger. And you see, if you do dangerous things and you have to be recognized or praised or applauded, then what you did was because of ego or pride or hubris. But behaving in a way that is natural or consistent with your inner code of honor, to know that your attitudes and your actions are the credentials that allow you to belong. I want to be like these men. I want to be like these people. I want to fit into this. That's what makes us authentic. That's what makes us legitimate. I'm not looking for praise. I'm looking for position, and not position of honor, not position of being elevated, but just that I'm able to stand in this company. You see, when it's I want to be numbered among the number, then it's not fake and it's not pride and it's not counterfeit, it's not ego. You see, the men that I know who are heroes, and I know some legitimate heroes, the men that I know who are heroes do not consider themselves heroes, but rather see themselves as being allowed to be in the company, allowed to be in the culture of heroes. It's unfortunate that our society breeds, it rewards, celebrates weakness, infirmity, and brokenness. Now, not from the standpoint that we cannot accept our flaws. It's not from a standpoint that we can't admit our flawed condition, but rather in taking the flaws that we have, the weaknesses that we have, and validating or legitimizing our failures, or our failure to even try, because of our limitations or our weaknesses or whatever. You see, those people who give substandard effort complain that they're not recognized because, oh, but you did such a good job, considering their excuses. In the culture of excellence, nobody really should know your excuses. It's okay to accept our limitations. And it's okay to have that conversation with yourself and honestly admit, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, because of this, that, or the other, my scale only goes to a 6. But if my scale only goes to a 6, then my goal should be the 6, but not being satisfied with the 4 because my scale only goes to a 6. I've often commented on the gym that I attend, the jiu-jitsu gym where I train. I talk about the gym culture or the social culture at 10th Planet Decatur and recently to 10th Planet Huntsville, and even the jiu-jitsu gym when we're there doing the Gracie survival tactics with the police. You see, in that culture, you're not expected to be the best. You're simply expected to be your best. And the standard, the onus is on you. I'm there to give it my best effort, to give it my best try, to give it all I've got. And then I've got to live with myself when I quit or stop early or tap to pressure or just give up because I'm gassed out. Brendan McGathern, the coach at 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, told me that he was tired of coaching people who wanted to be champions less than he wanted them to be champions. He told me, he said, I no longer try to make them care. I can't care for you. I can't want it bad enough for them. As a coach, I just simply show up whether they do or not. You see, this is the social culture of excellence without exclusion. And that's what men are looking for. You know, I'm not comparing me to you. I'm comparing me to me. I just want to fit in with you if you're excellent. You know, early in the jiu-jitsu career, most people that I've talked to about it would say they experience this dread of going to the gym. They love it, but they dread it. They don't want to go and do the warm-ups. What happens if I gas out and I'm tired even before class starts? Or they have that sinking feeling that after they've learned and they've drilled a technique, now it's time to do rounds. And you get on the mat one-on-one and you test yourself against other grapplers. You test yourself against other men. Nobody likes the feeling of helplessness. Nobody likes getting on the mat with somebody being manhandled or dominated. But the only way to fit in with that culture is to get past that dread. You learn to experience it, you learn to endure it, and you learn to embrace it. You leave saying, I got crushed for 4 minutes. Well, next week I'm going to learn to get crushed for 8. And then once you become comfortable being uncomfortable, uncomfortable is then comfortable. Not enjoyable, but comfortable. And when intentional adversity becomes part of your training process, then that process actually becomes training. And training builds discipline, a special kind of discipline. And that discipline is the precursor to excellence. I don't go to the gym to win. I go to the gym to train. And training is about expanding my limitations and making the footprint of my comfort zone larger and larger. You see, striving with other men, I believe, is much more superior than striving against other men. I don't have anything against competition. Competition is fine as a crucible for proof of concept, but it is less important than the refining process of being with other people, belonging to the culture, and iron sharpens iron. You see, often we get wrapped up in athletic pursuits and we do outcome versus performance-based training. Outcome is simply that end result. Did you win the trophy? Did you win the prize? Did you win the season? And there is a point to saying this, I came here to accomplish this. But on the path to winning the trophy, to winning the competition, to winning the belt is performance. And the performance culture is, did I expose myself to these things? And did I become something different? Did I become stronger or faster? Did I get more endurance? Did I become more proficient? Did I become more technical? And then the competition is not to best another person, but rather to better ourselves. Training to get better because you're inspired by the company you keep. You see, the result of getting better is getting better results. And that's different than just merely winning or losing. Getting better means you grow no matter what the outcome. The win or the loss results in some type of self-reflection, some type of evaluation so that you can grow. And growth is the goal no matter the outcome. And then validation. Hey, I've grown, I got better, I got faster, I got stronger, I got more endurance. I learned what to do, I learned what not to do. Then you get this validation, and it's within yourself. You get validation that is more important than outside validation. It's internal validation. That's more important because you're the only person who really knows if it's your best effort. You're the only person who knows if you cut corners, if you shirked, if you cheated the process. And if you know you cheated, if you know you quit early, if you know you stopped, if you know you didn't do all your reps, if you know that in some way, shape, or form you cheated the process. When you do that and you admit it to yourself, it results in a special kind of shame. This is the difference in hypocrisy and accountability. One pretends to be, and the other is painfully aware of what they need to become and address the issue. Knowing you are not, but failing to address what it takes to rectify it, creates that special kind of shame. The shame that comes from cowardice. Shame is the fear of loss of connection. It's the fear of not belonging, not being ostracized, not being kept on the outside or singled out or even kicked out, but the fear of looking at yourself from the inside out. And even though you may stand in the circle, even though you are welcome in the company, you have to admit you didn't do the work. You didn't keep the vow. You were not diligent in the process. The shame is not in what we did or did not do, but the shame is having to admit that in all honesty, we do not really belong. You see, the world says, this is what it is to be a man, to be a husband, to be a dad, to be a friend, to be a citizen, to be a son, to be a soldier, to be a cop, to be an officer, to be a leader, to be a man of God. And then there's another standard. The standard that comes from true heroes. A real standard for what it means to be those things. And the real shame is in whether or not we have to admit, do we actually belong? In which group do we actually belong to? One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Can you tell which thing is not like the other before I finish my song? The mission of Heritage Christian University is simple. They aim to advance the churches of Christ by equipping servants through undergraduate and graduate programs. Heritage Christian University produces effective communicators of the gospel, focusing on evangelism and a commitment to Scripture. Heritage Christian University is accredited by the Association for Biblical Higher Education and offers the following degrees: Associate of Arts in Biblical Studies, Bachelor of Arts in Biblical Studies, Master of Arts, Master of Ministry, and Master of Divinity. Since 1968, Heritage Christian University, formerly International Bible College, has offered affordable degrees in biblical studies, allowing graduates to thrive in their ministries without the burden of loan debt after graduation. For more information about Heritage Christian University, visit www.hcu.edu. That's 3 W's and a dot. hcu.edu. Heritage Christian University is a sponsor of Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure. Using the tool of shortwave radio, World Christian Broadcasting literally covers the world every day with the gospel. They use 2 large curtain antennas. One is located in Anchor Point, Alaska, and the other in Madagascar. They send out messages that are recorded at their international home in Franklin, Tennessee. They make available 40 hours of broadcast every day. The broadcasts are made in English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, Korean, English for Africa, and Arabic. They would love for your group to visit them. You can bring your ladies group, your youth group, or your men's group. Just give them a call at 615-371-8707, 615-371-8707, or you can go to worldchristian.org, find the Donate Here button, and make a financial contribution to support this work that literally covers the world every day with the gospel. World Christian Broadcasting, in cooperation with Keeping Up with Jones, the Lonnie Jones podcast adventure.